This is a response to Dr. Logue's response to my post. I will agree that pride does come in the way of the counselor therapist relationship, because from my research, as Black in 2017 pointed out, that there is a power differential that exists in the relationship of the therapist and client. The therapist having the knowledge and the client seeking that knowledge. And in that differential, there can be a breeding ground for exploitation, in that the client can develop feelings of dependency, meaning they hang on to every word that the therapist says as though it came on high. And as therapists, you have to know your role in realizing that you're human, you do make mistakes, and that the words that you use have an impact on the therapeutic process between you and your client. Now, where counselors in training get messed up, as Haas pointed out in 2009, they don't recognize the biggest obstacles that counselors in training don't recognize is that they don't recognize their own impairment. They don't recognize that the signs and symptoms, and there's a perception of weakness in acknowledging those. So there's a tendency to want to keep that bottled up to the point to where it leads to impairment, it leads to the fatigue, compassion fatigue, it leads to making bad choices as it relates to your clients. Now, there's also the third element, as Bell, Kukani, and Dalton point out in 2003. When you're listening to these stories, there's that vicarious trauma, and that's defined as the transformation that occurs in the inner experiences of a therapist or worker that comes as a result of what they call empathetic engagement with clients' trauma material. You take in, you re-experience the trauma that the client is expressing to you. And a big part of that is what I'm finding out as a therapist in training. You have to learn how to separate yourself from that. That number one, that is their story, not your story, and therefore not your reality. Your goal is to help them navigate, well, my goal is to help them navigate through that in order that they may be able to deal with the things of life. That's where, the American Code of Ethics teaches us that, just like we have to bracket our feelings, we also have to bracket what we sense coming from the client so that we may be able to offer effective service. Thank you.